Louise.
Why is that? Oh, Aunt Louise, I'll read that
Aunt
to you.
Louise.
Hey, and write poems about your aunts and uncles, please. You know, yeah, okay. Look, there's a way, you know, somebody, who was it? Maybe it was Jill the other day, was asking me about this thing, like what kind of advice. And I told you, I said, one thing I said was work your ass off. And then I remember I backed up, and I've been thinking about this lately. I think it matters to know who you are, and who you are matters. There's a tendency in this world, in the world we live in now, for this sort of, for identity, but to be sort of amorphous, where people are not sure. They're always very much impressionable. You know, it's almost like our culture wants us to, our identity to be nebulous. And, you know, there are lots of times people will say things like, I don't want to write poems about, and y'all hear the word hackney, right? You hear stuff that's been written about too much. Subject matters have been written about too much. And I'm not saying this is advice, but I am saying this. I've always been a contrary person. If somebody told me I couldn't do it, I went and tried real hard to do it. That's just who I am, right? So if somebody says you can't write a poem about your aunts, I got like 3 or 4 poems in here about my aunts. You know? And nature, I mean, that's ridiculous. Somebody wants to say, oh, you can't write about it. I'm sorry, I live in it. I'm not going to write. You see what I mean? It's who you are, right? There's nothing wrong with that, though. That's what I'm telling you. If somebody has some kind of bias because of your circumstance, because you're from this state or this town or something, that's their problem. Understand what I say? And it is not wise to let oneself be over-influenced. There's nothing wrong with good influence. You have to discern that, what's helpful and what's not. And that whole identity, being assaulted about identity, is a sad thing to me in this world. It's a sad thing because you know, there is an integrity in a person wherever you are. You know, that's a valuable thing. So, okay, I had an Aunt Louise who lived in a little town on Sand Mountain called Section, and Aunt Louise taught. She actually taught English, but I've got her teaching history in here. And Aunt Louise was kind of brusque, a little bit sharp. You ever had an aunt like that? You know, a little bit sharp? And I figured, you know what I figured after I had been teaching for a few years? I figured that in part of it is because she was a teacher. Because what teachers have to be is taskmasters. You understand what I'm saying? It is my job to be my student's ally and evaluator, and I've got to do both well. And so sometimes I'll come across as a taskmaster, you know, as a person who is requiring somebody to do something they may not want to do. And I kind of always wondered if that's why Aunt Louise was not that way, you know. Of course, I think it may have just been her disposition too. I don't know. But, so it's a beautiful little town, Section on Sand Mountain. So the poem is called For Aunt Louise, Who Never Liked Me. So, oh, by the way, I'm going to get to do a little bit of Q&A here. So y'all try to think of something to ask me, please. Some days, when she was working in the garden, she liked everything. July afternoons, with the tomatoes weeded and the light just right, she could convince herself she loved everything. And that maybe things were the way they were supposed to be, especially when she squinted through the apple orchard for red and yellow shapes, soon in the leaves, round and glossy with the sun behind them. For a second, even the sweaty little nieces and nephews napping on the screened-in porch were dear. The box fan humming next to them, making what little breeze there was on Sand Mountain. Some afternoons, with the tent revival 2 lots over and 1 back, and the traveling preacher hollering in the faint, hazy distance over the PA, like he wanted the apples to grow, and Aunt Louise to stay the way she was, school-marm hard, brusque and gray in the eyes, because part of her didn't care. There was so much beauty in the world. And God had made her with a cold disposition, like she had a rock in her flats. While zinnias spread out from the center, and the hosta flayed and sprung up in the sandy ground by the swing that Uncle Wayne whitewashed before he died. So she had to get old alone and indifferent about sister's grandkids staying with her for a day or two in the summer when she'd never been able to have any of her own, except for the ones she taught history for 40 years at the high school. Asleep on the porch, I was staying with my aunt, dreaming about an ocean that didn't have waves, that just roared like a box fan on high. Then dreaming, so what if my cousin Jimmy's chest was broader than mine, which Aunt Louise had pointed out in front of everybody, when what was bothering her was probably Wayne, not worth the flip, drinking behind the store so he could work up the patience to wait on those mouthy town kids from section on credit and be nice to them so their parents would trade with him, and then having the gall to die. Uncle Wayne had a store, and he actually said that. He actually said, I got to be nice to these kids. Uncle Wayne was big in the